You have to give Brandon Ingram the Supermax for the Pelicans. When are they going to get a better player than Brandon Ingram?
I do think Bam is the best help defender in basketball.
Yes.
Regardless of position.
Would you give him a Supermax?
If he makes an All-NBA
Would you give him a Supermax?
If he makes an All-NBA team.
Would you give him
Not
a Supermax?
this summer.
Supermax or not? Let's start with Jamal Murray. Does he deserve the Supermax?
Here's the thing. They can't give him the Supermax unless he makes an All-NBA team. If he makes an All-NBA team, then I'm giving him the Supermax. So it's almost baked into the question. Like Jamal Murray in the bubble looked like bona fide top 3 point guard to me. If he gets back to that, he will be All-NBA and he'll be serving as Supermax. And I think it makes sense for Denver because they're a team that just won the championship by drafting and retaining their players and building around them. So I think it makes sense. So I'm going to say yes.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. Jamal Murray, before his injury, incredible. Post-injury, it took him a while to get back to it, but they're coming off the NBA Finals. He's got something to prove.
Would you give him a Supermax?
If he makes an All-NBA team.
Would you give him a Supermax?
If he makes an All-NBA team.
Would you give him a Supermax?
Not this summer.
I don't
not
need
at
that.
this
I said,
second.
would you give him a Supermax?
Not at this second, no. But All-NBA team, yes.
I agree with Gio and Colin. I think he will get it, though. I think he will get it this year. I think he makes All-NBA third team this year. And it also, too, it depends on the team's success as well.
Supermax or not? Bam Adebayo.
Yes. Yes. Yes, of course. Are you kidding me? He's the most disrespected defensive player in the NBA. He's one of the top defensive players in the league.
Gio spitting.
He is one of the very few players in the NBA that could guard the 1 through 5 successfully. It's incredible.
Whoa, hold up. Don't,
one of the few.
You
All right.
Number 33.
I did not say.
I know exactly who you're talking about.
He knows who I'm talking about.
I bring him up every show.
So yeah,
Bro,
Nicholas
come on,
Claxton.
man.
I know.
Come on, man. Nick, don't diss Nick Claxton
But
now.
I'm saying, like, there's very few players that could do it.
I do think Bam is the best help defender in basketball.
Yes.
Regardless of position.
I'll say this. I like Bam a lot. I think he's improved. He played well during his playoff run. People didn't expect him to play them this well. But do I give Bam a Supermax? The reason why I say no is because Pat Riley's a cheap motherfucker. He's been bullshit this whole time. He hasn't went out and got anybody.
He's 0 for 4 right now. He's
Pat
0 for 4.
Riley
He's
is
0
the
for
Bill
4.
Belichick of the NBA, right? I think your time has came and went. You're the Godfather. Yes, you had much success. You won championships, but now it's starting to show that you're old ass and you're stubborn and you're not making the right moves to make your team advance. Now, Bam, you had success, but have you won championships? And the argument could be they need another piece, but I think if they get another piece, they can't get Bam the Supermax because they got to get another player that's elite and enough. So I don't think Bam is going to get or deserves. I won't say he doesn't deserve, but because everybody get your money. But I don't think I would give Bam a Supermax.
But you can make the argument that the Heat have done the most with less out of the last 4 years in any NBA team in a long time. Bam being like the main defensive cornerstone piece of that team, he deserves Supermax without question.
And that franchise is going to be kind of building around him. Yes, you have Jimmy, and Jimmy is your guy. He's your number one, but Jimmy's getting older. Bam is still very young. In 5 years, who's still going to be on this team? Is it Jimmy Butler or is it Bam Adebayo? It's going to be Bam. So you got to give a guy like that a Supermax or he's going to walk.
It's good to do a lot with less, but you still want to win, though.
You still want to win, of course. Yeah, you need a top 20 guy for sure.
But all right, let me ask you: is Bam still Bam without Jimmy?
Yeah,
that's a hypothetical I'd really like to see play out.
Honestly, that's a good question.
That's different.
That's a really good question.
You remove Jimmy off that team because a lot of this run has been a lot of Jimmy Butler.
And also, too, in the playoffs, Jimmy plays a lot of de facto point guard for them, too. It's a 1-4 spread. Jimmy with the ball. Bam, let's run pick and roll. Let's get it.
You give Bam that fucking Supermax, but him and Tyler Hero, good luck.
Listen, Josh Richardson, he's back. He's back in the threads.
Supermax or not? Brandon Ingram.
No. No.
Like, if I'm the Pelicans, yes.
Yeah.
Just because the Pelicans.
You have to give Brandon Ingram the Supermax for the Pelicans because when are they going to get a better player than Brandon Ingram right now?
Even more so, too. They're one of the teams, too, that have done well in the player development. They can kind of mold somebody like that. Herb Jones, like he was a hidden gem.
And Trey Murphy.
Yeah.
Jose Alvarado, you feel me? Queens in the building. I kind of agree with that. Yeah, like he will be the main piece. I don't think they're going to keep Zion moving forward. That's too much of a health concern and too much of a risk for them liability-wise.
Players really do have the power now, bro. Because every team is holding these franchise hostages, right? And it's always like, oh, we don't want them to walk. So
exactly.
Supermax.
Yeah,
the fear. So it's like you got to pay these guys. And like we freak out over like how big the contract is. Like we freaked out over Jaylen Brown this year. Guess what? In 2-3 years, he won't be the highest paid player in the league. And
for
and
sure.
if it's not going right, you'll be able to trade him.
Probably after this year, he might not be the highest paid player.
He's making $290 million. Tatum's going to be able to make $308 million next summer.
I realize you got to keep people in the seats, but like at the same time, like, is it really worth it? When you talk about like building and winning a championship, right? I don't think the Pelicans are going to win a championship. I think their window is kind of now because of the Zion, the Herb Jones thing. They have a young roster that they're building, but I don't know if it's ever going to like fully materialize because of Zion's health.
CJ's age, right? He's getting his
And
age.
like, is BI really the answer for you to be the focal point of this franchise? Does he put enough people in the seats for this franchise, right? I think if you look at the Pelicans and you look at like their roster, people probably still buy tickets to see Zion more than they see BI.
Before Zion got hurt, the Pelicans were a top 4 team in the West.
Sick. That's why they're my sleeper team this year.
They were
so good
great.
last year.
You know, it's just a matter of Zion's health. Like you said, he is the second most important player on that team. So I mean, yeah, you would supermax him. I feel like
You let him walk, then it's like, all right, we're staring a rebuild in the face. He's gone for nothing. And then if you're rebuilding, it's like, if I'm the GM, now my job's at risk. So when you stay in contention, you're keeping your job. When
Right.
you acknowledge, yeah, we're going to rebuild, then the owner is going to be open to, all right, why don't we tear everything down instead
Yeah.
of just the roster?
that's why I agree with especially with the Nuggets and Heat too. They kind of switched the formula on how like teams need to win now too. You basically have to build your team do the draft now. You have to build your team with a bunch of mix of unrestricted guys. You basically have to build some two-way guys that you had in the G League. Team building now and player development now it's more important than it's ever been before. And I feel like the Nuggets and the Heat were like pre-examples of that.
Does JBobby make you angry? Well, that's good. Let us know in the comments. Like and subscribe, baby.